What is up, daddies? Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Hello. So much to talk about. For those of you, whoa, I'm just dropping things. For those of you who were on Sam and my Twitch stream this week, thank you so much for being there. We're going to bring you more Twitch content, so make sure to be following me over there. Pink and Green dropped. We are at, let's see, yesterday was a week since it dropped. We've got like 11,000 streams. It's going really well, so thank you all so much for listening to that song. For those of you who have been kind of keeping track of what I'm doing here, I've repurposed this entire channel into more like music content. For those of you who are into kind of nerding out about the music of everything, that's what this whole thing is for. That's what this project is for. So, Pink and Green came out, and I want to keep kind of pumping out content, keep promoting the single. So I've been working on this sort of stripped down track so that we can turn that into a subsequent piece of content as like a little performance video, almost like an acoustic track, even though it's with an electric guitar, so it's not like acoustic completely. And so on the last video, I showed Daddy how I put that track together, with sort of the engineering of all of it, actually getting the sonic energy from the guitar, all of that information into the digital workstation, kind of producing that a little bit, getting some effects and some compression and those types of elements in there. Today, I thought I'd show you how I engineer some of the vocals. I've put some of those down. Obviously, the vocals, that's kind of the most important part, and for anyone out there who's interested in learning how to engineer or produce, or who's just curious about how this stuff happens, especially considering that I am in like a tiny little home studio that I built, but I've been able to, you know, get pretty professional sounding vocals out of this space. I kind of wanted to show you how I do that, just in case you were curious, because I'm a nerd and I think this is fun, so hopefully you want to nerd out with me. So I'm going to jump into the DAW. Come on with me, you guys, and I'll show you how it's done. Really quick, I just want to show you some of my gear here. So I have this Neumann right there, the Neumann. This is the TLM 102. It's a cardioid mic, which is really good for getting that like kind of really nice, close, impactful sound. And I also have this buddy here, which is just sort of like a sound shield. It sort of acts as an isolation in lieu of, because as you can see, I don't have this room treated or anything. So this does that for me. All of the sound sort of goes in here, it gets deadened. So the only sound that's getting caught is my voice going right into the microphone. Her eyes were the size of the lies that I tell when I say I don't love her. So all that guitar stuff is sounding really good. Everything that I showed you last week, that's all there. It sounds nice. I've put the vocals down. Let me just show you a couple things that I've done over here. As you can see, there's a massive, massive vocal chain here. I have Melodyne. So this is pitch correction, and we can hand draw very specifically where each of these pitches go. And all of these squiggly lines here, that's my vibrato. You can see over here, that's a bit more of a straight tone. So the first thing that I do is tune the vocal by hand. Then we have actual auto-tune. This is where the computer does the work, and this is called Antares. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's a really cool knob over here called Humanize that takes away sort of the robot sound of it. This is the flex tune that brings even more of that humanity in, so the sharper the flex tune is turned up, the less you're going to hear the auto-tune, and the more the flex tune is turned down, the more you're going to hear that sort of robot tuning, that kind of T-Pain sound. And that T-Pain sound, that's influenced by this knob here, the retune speed, which I have turned all the way up so that it's hitting really hard, but because I have this flex tune knob dialed in pretty high as well, you don't hear that kind of robot sound. This natural vibrato knob is interesting. It helps sort of give some of that vibrato back if you take it out, but because I've already hand-tuned this, I seldom even need that knob, but that's kind of what's going on over here. Then I hit it with a compressor. We talked a little bit about compressors last time. What the compressor does is it just brings the soft elements up and the loud elements down, so it squashes the sound and makes it very cohesive so that the audio information isn't sort of blowing a casket at any point or hitting too soft at any other points. It just evens it out really nicely. And so you'll see when I play this in like a louder section, the compressor barely hit. Okay, it barely hit. So this compressor is not doing very much work at all. It's just I have it up pretty high in the vocal chain so that it's just doing a little bit of work, evening things out, bringing some of those really loud, impactful parts down a little bit so that the rest of the processing isn't processing those really loud parts in kind of an ugly way. I have some EQ just to roll off some bottom end here. This stuff down here, anything below 200 hertz, this sounds really ugly, and I can actually show you exactly how ugly it sounds. If I open up another kind of EQ here, this EQ gives me the opportunity to roll up some of this and then to solo it, so I'm literally only hearing this. And you'll hear how ugly any information, this is 200 hertz right here. Any information below 200 hertz, you're going to hear how gross it is. Listen to this. We don't want that, really, ever. There might be an argument at some point to have that really kind of dark stuff if you're doing it on purpose, but for the most part, I never want that kind of information in my vocals. So right here you've seen that I've basically cut all of that out. I've done a small cut over here just to get rid of some of the sibilants. That's the st, any kind of S's, T's, ch, anything like that, to cut that out a little bit. But then I've raised a bunch of high-end stuff too to get that really whispery stuff. And I can show you that as well. So, it's hard to pick up, it's a very subtle thing. When you listen to like really well-produced pop tracks and you can hear, like it literally sounds like Billie Eilish is whispering in your ear, like Ariana Grande is whispering into the microphone. That's all of that high-end information. So we want to boost that, which I've also done here. This is the John Joseph Puig vocals. These are really, really cool. You know, instead of saying like treble, bass, compression, EQ, instead of using some of those more heady words, it uses adjectives like presence, attitude, space, attack, and magic. And so you can kind of play with those knobs and you're trusting your ear more than trying to like be really intuitive about it. It just gives you a more artistic feel as you're editing those vocals, and just listen to how much of a difference this makes. So this is with it off.
Her hair was a snare, I don't care if I'm lost in it now and forever.
So those vocals just sound kind of like dark, and when I've put this processing on there, it really brightens it and brings it a lot closer to us. Check this out.
Her hair was a snare, I don't care if I'm lost in it now and forever.
We've also added some reverb in there with this space knob, which I think is really cool. I also have this, a CLA Vocals. This is more effects, which is just like that other thing, but this now is a little bit more technical. So you see I'm balancing like really technical, precise moves and more artistic, loose moves, so that I'm getting both the precision and sort of the artistry in the same chain. So this CLA Vocals, a lot of this I have actually sort of silenced or turned all the way down, but I wanted some slap reverb in there, and what that is it's delay that comes in right after the sound is made. So it's like and it's like it adds like very immediate space. It's sort of like if you listen to like Elvis tracks, there's a lot of slap delay, slap reverb. It gives you the sense that you're playing or singing in like a small room or like a club. And I just think that sort of gave it some like old-timey kind of classic, but also very like live feel to it. So that's what this slap delay is right here. Then I hit it with even more compression.
Her bare skin exposed to the air, practically leave it all together.
And you can see that first compressor only hit at the loud notes. This compressor is hitting all the time, and it's hitting up to like -3, which means that it's doing a little bit more work, which is good. This LA2A right here, that's what this is, this Teletronics engineering company. UAD Teletronics LA2A Legacy. This is software that's emulating a real compressor, the LA2A compressor, and it's just an amazing compressor. It gives that closeness on vocals really well. It also has this over here, this function, compressor or limiter. A lot of the times I'll use the limiter on like a bass or something to bring all of the information up to a ceiling but then cap it. So it pushes all that information up to a limit, but then it doesn't let it pass that limit. And that's really good for like basses and stuff, because it really brings that bass like right up and slaps you in the face. So, What happened there was my camera said that it was overheating, and then subsequently it deleted all of the remaining footage. So I don't have anything that I shot yesterday to explain all of this to you, but luckily I was almost done. The only element that I didn't show you was something called a de-esser, which just takes that sibilance away, but we kind of already talked about that with the EQ. Another thing that I did was I just sort of copy and pasted some of these vocals around to double them, to thicken them a little bit. And I also created like a vocal chain that was just reverb, again, to just sort of add that space, make it kind of feel like a live performance, because that's what we're going for here. Then at the very end, what I did do in the other footage was I played a little bit so you could hear it, so I'm going to do that now and we can all listen together and it's going to be great. You ready? Here we go.
Together, and her dress was pink and green, and I think she's all I ever wanted. Skin like a screen. Suddenly, I'm thinking about tomorrow.
But you see, I can't give you too much because otherwise you won't tune in and watch the actual performance video, and that would make me less sad. So I'm kind of like talking to you from the future and the past, because this video of the performance has actually already been shot. Sam and I shot it a few weeks ago, but we decided to not release it until after the actual song had come out, so as to not confuse your little ears. What's coming down the pike next week is some vlog content about how Sam and I set up the visual. This is the audio. We're going to show you how we did the video next. And then the actual performance video. After that, I'm going to start diving into my next song. I have 2 more singles that I'm really excited for that I want to release. So I'm going to kind of bring you through how I engineer those. I might sort of do a hybrid experience, both edited together like this on YouTube, but also maybe live on Twitch. We'll see what happens there. Don't hold me to anything. Again, we're all just like planning and experimenting. That's the phase that Ryan's in right now. And then after I release those songs, I have a plan to do a whole new kind of project, not with my original music, that might have something to do with Heather's. But I'm not going to tell you about that right now. So you're just going to have to stay tuned and find out, Daddy. But thank you so much for watching. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. I can't wait to show you this video. I think it's going to be really cool. So until then, goodbye, Daddy.